Hi, my name is Dan Halsey. I'm with United Designers and Southwoods Ecological Design. And we're continuing our Global Earth Repair Conference check-ins, our global check-ins. And this morning we have Sergi with us. There's also Regina and Sara from Spain. And looking forward to talking about climate change and adaptation. And Regina is going to give us a little introduction.
Good afternoon. We are here with our guest, that is Sergi Caballero. He's a renowned permaculturist in Spain, and he's running a traditional farm, Catalan farm, that is called Masia. And he's running the Masia with permaculture and regenerative agriculture techniques. And I think that we are going to enjoy very much this interview because everybody knows him. Welcome. Buenos días, buenas tardes, Sergi, o boa tarde.
Buenas tardes, Regina. Thank you very much, Regina, Sara, and Daniel. My name is Sergi, and I live in a small town. It's called Sant Martí d'Albars, and I work as a founder and as a farmer at MasLesVinyes, which is a small permaculture project and also a farm.
Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us here and taking the time. So we're going to go through a few questions about climate adaptation and change and your views on that, what you see locally. And then our second part, we'll do a little presentation of what you have for us on that. So our first question is, what climate change trends, what kind of things are going on in your region? Have you seen changes from the past and what you expect going into the future?
Well, I think that every year is like a big surprise because we were used to have like 700 millimeters of water every year. Now we have some years with less than 400, which is like a half. Some farmers also were really worried because some cows also died because they didn't arrive to the rivers just to drink. And other years we have a lot of rain. So every year it's different. That's a problem because sometimes the cereals doesn't grow well. Others it's bad for the animals and for the including for the forest. We have seen signs of the forest that they are suffering a lot. And for me the worst thing is that we had like more than 100 days without any water, which is really, really weird. We can stand this because it's really hard. We have to think that we are more than 35 degrees. It's I think 95 Fahrenheit degrees. So we have really hot summers without rain, which is really hot. And because Spain is the garden of Europe, so we have to produce a lot for Europe, and we are getting less and less water. That's a big problem.
Right. And I've kind of heard that in some of our other talks about Spain is really doing a huge amount of production. I've heard this before also about Europe and the exports of Spain and vegetables and things like that. So what can you do, or what can Spain do, or the different regions to adapt to these changes? Is there any strategies that you can, people can put together, or have they been doing?
Yeah, we should try because we are not only production a lot of vegetables because we also produce fruit, but Spain also produces, for example, a lot of pork for Europe. In fact, we are one of the largest areas of pork production here in our place, in our zone. I think that we should try to move from pork production to more sustainable production as ruminants, because we cannot produce soybean. We are getting this soybean from other countries, like your country, or like Brazil or Argentina. So we're investing a lot of energy, like carbon fossil energy, just to grow the pigs. We have never done this before because we are in a place that we can grow ruminants like cows or sheep easily because we have good grass. And we should move to that kind of production because we should rehydrate the landscape. We have to put a lot of water in our feed, down in our feed. We have to get good quality soils because we have a lot of, in my farm, for example, is from the 1,300 year. So they spend a lot of years here working, and the soil is poor every day, every year. So moving to another kind of techniques can save us for hottest seasons, for example. In fact, we try to invest in soil energy. So maybe we can talk a little bit later. But the problem in Spain is the water. For totally, we even cannot get water from the fountains because all of this is polluted because of pigs industry. We cannot get water from the rivers because it's also polluted because pigs production. So it's all about the pigs. Yeah, we have a really, really big problem. We have more pigs living here than people.
But to feed the pigs, you have to import the feed for the pigs. It's not being grown. So it would seem that if you have a very good growing space for those kinds of things, that you could grow your own feed. On the other hand, that's also food that could go to people, I would guess.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so but the infrastructure and the people are invested in the pork industry. It must be a huge industry
totally,
there.
Yeah.
And
it's 3% of the total earnings in Catalonia. So it's a lot. 3%, it's a lot. I have friends in every place that they work for this industry, like doing like kind of pizza or doing sausages or I don't know, or driving just trucks for them. Yeah, everybody works for the pigs.
The waste that's in the rivers, though, that sounds like it's fertilizer going to waste.
Of course. Yeah, when it's raining, all the farmers go out and throw a lot of pigs manure to the fields. So you can even go outside because it stinks. Yeah. It smells really, really bad. Yeah.
There's obviously an opportunity lost there to create fertility in the soil and regrow things rather than let it just go away into probably the rivers go into the ocean. Then I would guess. With all of that.
I think it's not only that they are losing the fertility with it and it's going to waste. That it is also that is going to contamination. Is creating contamination on the soil. I remember when I was with you in MasLesVinyes that you were talking about this.
Yeah, in fact, pigs have a lot of pills because they say because they are sadness. And a lot of pollution goes to the soils, and we have poor soils every year. So it's really a problem because I don't know what not my child, but the child from other people that has this kind of farms, what are they gonna farm there? Because the soil is totally dead. Yeah.
And also, tell me if I'm wrong, Sergi, this waste from the pigs is also contaminating the water, the aquiferous water. And since there's a big problem in Spain with the water and the aquifers are being contaminated, the problem goes exponentially bigger.
Yeah, totally bigger. Yeah, and this year they are working with some towns because they try to make a big infrastructure just to bring water from farther river because we don't have enough water just for all our parks. So they are building more infrastructure that it's totally unsustainable, and they're investing money in non-regenerative farming, and it's a mess because I think that political people aren't done making any solutions of this kind, and it's a problem. Yeah. They don't see the relation from pigs to climate change. It's
right. Yeah, and it's actually making a bad situation worse because in the past maybe the environment's been able to absorb it or to use it, or you just couldn't see it. Now with the limitation of our ecosystem services and such, we're having bigger problems with that because the earth, of course, can't absorb it anymore, and there aren't organisms, there aren't good soils to absorb it either. So in that case, what action can be taken to avoid a huge tragedy in Spain and the rest of the world with all of these things going on? Do you think of any kind of solutions or actions that could be taken?
Yeah, we have to move to another kind of production. Is what maybe what I talk, just to move to ruminants or some more sustainable animal, because I understand that farmers need to produce a lot of food just to get incomes, but we should produce something that we can offer in our lands. And for me, that's a solution. We have to cover our soils and using green manures and using different also kind of animals. Just they work together for creating and regenerating landscapes. For me, is the key to get more water into our soils, because we have to afford this now. We don't have even time. And when I talk to people, a lot of some people say, oh, you're really pessimistic. And for me, it's like I'm going outside every day and I see that everything is moving too fast. It scares me because I see signs of degradation every year, and it's getting worse. Yeah.
How do the EU policies and subsidies affect your farm? Or do they restrain what decisions and changes you can make?
Yeah. For example, when I arrived to this farm, I tried to create like a small pork production, but like a kind of experiment. Just they eating outside with oaks and with all, because it's a land for doing this, but it's forbidden. You have to put them in like kind of buildings, and you have to buy soybean. You cannot have porks without soybean. It's forbidden. So you have to pay, and all the policies are going to that kind of production. I spent like 2.5 years just for asking for a sheep permission. 2.5 years without selling sheep, because they didn't give me the permissions. So it's a policies problem also. They have to understand that we are in emergency time, and they have to try to help small farmers to create a lot of different food production, so that we can,
So a lot more different crops and different animals, diversify basically.
Yeah. For example, now in Europe, they say it's a better environment policies, and I take an eye to that money, and says if you have bees, then you can get into that incomes. And I say, okay, I have bees, maybe I can get some money. And they have, yes, but you have to take at least 150. I have 15 hives, not 150, because if I should have 150, then I could. I don't need the incomes of the helps. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for your opinions on this and helping us understand what's going on in your area. And we know for sure that a lot of these things, it's repeating all across the world. With the climate adaptation, the changes, the tragedies, what's happening, especially for small farmers, and then also the fact that we need to adapt to these changes, understand the truth of climate change, but also have the governments not withhold the possibility for making these changes because of larger policy decisions. So that's very much a problem. So you have a presentation for us, I understand.
Yeah, I try to do.
Okay, can you share that screen with us?
Yeah, of course. I try here just to my desktop. Share. Yeah. Can you see it? Okay.
Looks good. Looks very good.
Yeah, this I see here the bar of the, this is a small drawing, but just for that we are in the northeast of Spain, in a center of Catalonia, and the next picture that you are seeing, I don't think that you can see my mouse, but you can see that there are some fields that are mine that are with blue lines because it's the key line pattern. But those fields that don't have any line are for pigs production. All these fields is for throwing pigs manure. They don't use it for creating any kind of food that for people. You can see all the difference between my small fields producing a lot of fruit and all these huge fields that they don't produce anything for the people. It's only for poo manure. This is a farm. I told you that it's really old. It's from 1300. And we try to analyze every year the energy flows. We try to see every process, where are we getting the incomes and where we having loss of energy. So try to invest in these improvements. And what are we doing now? Well, we are a kind of permaculture teaching center for only on summer, but then we try to put our best on food production. We do meat, like from chicken and sheep. We have eggs from chickens and now from ducks also. We have fruit, vegetables, and honey. Then we get a small plant nursery, which is good because we can sell some plants to other farmers. And then we also like to work with the schools. We are like a kind of education center where some schools come here and they can see different kind of farms with no-tilling gardening, for example. Then we can talk. And also we have 2 spaces for the tourists, but they don't have electricity and they have to use a water compost toilet, and they only eat all the food from our farm. So this is a way of selling our food.
And
here,
Sergi, what is the reaction to the people to this kind of buildings?
Of the what? Of the buildings?
Yes, with the compost toilet and without electricity and all these things.
Well, they see it like a funny thing, but they don't believe maybe that they can live here for a long time, because people don't expect that the compost toilet doesn't make any smell. So at first they are really maybe a little bit worried, but then they are used to, and that's not a problem. Because we have some pictures explaining what's happening with the water and the pollution because of pigs. So when they go to the bathroom and they can see these pictures, maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable using a compost toilet. I think it's good just to understand people, because most of them come from Barcelona or from big cities, that we have some big problems in rural areas that maybe they don't have in cities, because I know they can get drink water from the tap every day, but we even don't use tap water because it's a little bit polluted. So, well.
Okay.
Do you have rainwater? Are you collecting that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we have different kind of collecting waters. We have a big tank that we collect from all the water from the house, and then you will see that we have some kind of. We have 4 ponds that we get all the water that we use in the farm, and then we clean it with different kind of plants, and finally then we get clean water. Then we use it for irrigating like 600 fruit trees. So once the water comes into our farm, we try to get the most as possible. And water from the raining water goes directly to a tank, and then we use it for the garden. For example, in these pictures you can see some kind of beans, and then some kind of vegetables production. We have vegetables production in zone 1 and then in zone 2, because it's kind of different. We plant a lot. We have planned our rotations for about 8 years. We have every cultivar where it has to be, where we have to get the seeds and save them. Also, which kind of companion plants do they have? So we have worked really hard on this, and we are improving it every year. And now, for example, this year we are planting potatoes, also adding not only kind of beans, also on planting mustard. I don't know how to say mostaza, but mustard. Yeah. So we try to put a lot of energy just to save water with plants. Plants. Sorry.
Well, it's it looks like a lot of planning in order to keep things. Of course, you have to do good planning anyway, but even now when things are so tight, you might say you have to plan even better, especially if things are going to change.
Yeah, of course. And also, Daniel, it's good to know that maybe you have thought in one month just to come in with, I don't know, with carrots maybe, but then the sun is getting hotter, or then you don't have water, so you have to adjust this like every month. And yeah, for me, this is one of the things that I want to share with that there is a lot of thinking in our production design, because sometimes people think, oh, permaculture is like, I don't know, like planting potatoes in some kind of wires. And for me, it's not about, it's just to put in thinking. So we try to share like this knowledge. For example, you can see here we have a lot of herbs and flowers in our cultivars. We practice no-till farming. Also, we produce biochar. We use human manure. We create biofertilizers. We have holistic grazing, and then we use a lot of things because we don't use oil into food production. We try to avoid this, and just to see if this works. What else? Yeah, for example, here you can see a mix of pumpkins and flowers, and then on the back you have some flowers with chickpeas on the bottom. So then we collect chickpeas and sunflowers and a lot of food in a very small space. And the hardest part is that we don't have water for really large months, and it even didn't rain a lot to restore all the soils in winter. So it's hard. Well, here we have another kind of production, like fruit production. You can see a field with some key line pattern. We produce a lot of fruit. We have a lot of fruit trees that they tell us that we weren't able to produce this, but yes, you know that permaculture tries to understand patterns and just to make like some guilds and some associations. So we try to use them, and it works. You can see here a picture of the 2014, and it's the same place like 3 years later. We've had a lot of here there is a swale, but you can see some trees. Wow. In the two faces, because we use here animals that then you're gonna see. So it's the same field in 3 years. Now I have to do more pictures because I've seen that I have old pictures.
Oh yes.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, we produce meat and eggs. Now we are doing like 200 chickens every month. We are trying to also produce sheep meat. We have also ducks, and now in this June we are gonna, some goat is gonna come in, like 60 goats are gonna come in, because we have a lot of forest, and we try to take energy from the forest and convert it into meat also, and also forest regeneration. So
you have a lot of going on here, a lot of diversity of products and animals, and you have a lot of different nutrients cycling through.
Yeah, I think that it's really super necessary, because, for example, when we see that we use For example, here we have some ponies and some horses. When you use, for example, pony and horses, that they follow the sheep. So the sheep are the best eaters. They eat the best. Then the ponies, for example, came in and they tried to eat a different kind of herb, and they put a different kind of manure. So I think that this is really good for the soil. Not to put all the eggs in the same animal, just to try to mix them and see what's happening, because it's really working, and it's really nice to see how each animal does a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
when you have that dry period, what animal or what crop is under the most stress during that dry time, or is it basically everything?
Well, the sheep are really stressed because of the sun hours. We have like a lot of sunny hours, and they can die because of the sun. So on summer, we use them in the forest. We move them into the forest. So we try that at this time that they don't have to grow too much, because maybe they shouldn't be pregnant on these days because they eat less in the forest. So it's like a key point to take this. Yeah. Also, we have some kind of bee honey production, and then on the right on the bottom you can see one of the 4 ponds that we have. That this is like dirty water, and then we have cleaned this, and then we save it for the summer. We have some solar panels that they move the water to the up on the hill, and then from this it's distributed to all the farm. So it only works when it's sun, and it's pretty working. Yeah. What else? I'm finishing now. It's only the spaces for the yurt, that when people came here and they can stay here and they can learn from the farm. And also then we have, well, like a clay construction that we try to do in like 1.5 years with all our clay and all our straw and all our logs. And I think that it's where the people came here, because we try to offer them like a feeling, like a kind of feeling that they are in a place where they can hear, they can listen the birds, and they can smell different. For me, it's really it's funny, because a lot of people talks about our salads, and for me, a salad is not the best that we can do, but a lot of people say, "Wow, it's take along from what I've eaten this kind of salad. It's really tasty." And I say, "Okay, so you have to wait for the meat because it's better." But for me, it's surprising, because salad is salad. It cannot be, yeah.
Have you noticed a change in flavor of vegetables because of this? Sorry, Regina. Have you noticed any kind of change in the taste because of the different weather?
Yeah, of course. There are some plants that become more root when they don't have water. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And yeah. And also because of the flavor, I've seen that a lot of kind of kales smell bad when they don't have enough water. So, well, smell bad, it's like it doesn't stink, but it smells different when they don't have water.
They get bitter too?
What?
Do they get bitter too?
Yeah,
más amargas.
Yeah, also a little bit. Yeah, but it's more about the flavor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that looks very nice. It's impressive operation you have there.
Thank you. And then I finished just saying that we collaborate with this kind of association that it's in Spain. It's Permacultura Ibera, that we are members of this association, and we try to meet each people every year. So just to share our knowledge and to understand our knowledge. For example, in that meeting, we learn a lot from biochar, and then we start to doing this since we go to that meeting. So I think it's better just to talk and to share knowledge. Man,
we are having an interview with them to also, Sergi.
So yes. Wow. Yeah, awesome. Perfect.
Yes,
So
with
that's
Juan
all.
Pedro.
Well,
And
thank you.
Sergi, I wanted to ask you something.
Yeah.
You also have in your farm an analog forest that
Yeah.
also we're going to interview the national network, the international network of analog forest, and I know it's just been planted, it's new, and the plants have to grow. But do you think that could be a way to go, like, or that could work in Spain with our problems with the dryness and the water and the heat and everything? Could be, or not?
Yeah, I think that the analog forest, I think that first, it's a really good tool to invest in, like a good technology, green technology, real technology. But yeah, we are expecting that some of the trees, they can die because before the cold was like progressive, and now it came suddenly. So we have like 25 degrees, and the next day it's 5 below zero. Yes. And then a lot of plants suffer, and some of them die because of that thing. The plants are not prepared. Is what I was talking before, that we even have two blooming seasons in the same season. We have seen pears to bloom and pick the fruit, and then they bloom again. So it's totally outstanding. And I think that for this analog forest, we have to see the dealings and maybe put a little more of energy in the first years, and maybe to water them with gray water that we clean with the ponds. So yeah, when we design it with that kind of institution, and we design that we have this resource which is available, and then we have to use it for this kind of good things. Yeah.
Good.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sergi. It's wonderful that you could visit with us and give us especially an introduction to your place and what you're doing there, but also informing us on the issues and what you're dealing with and how you're adapting to the climate change. It's very inspiring to see that, and that you're actually putting a huge amount of thought and planning, which is, just like you say, it's very important. We have to think about this carefully, and we have to think about the planning for change. It's just that you're planning very carefully, but then you also know that's going to change. And so if you understand all these things, it's like, that's not really a problem for us to know that things are going to change, as long as we can plan very carefully. And of course, like you, understand the plants, understand the animals, so that you can be prepared when something like that happens. When the temperature drops like that incredibly, you already know what the plan is going to be then, what you have to do in order to protect things. Like even here, when a frost comes or something like that, we have things that we can do to try and help a little bit and try and mitigate the problems. Then again, we have to be prepared for that every time. So thank you again for joining us, and thank you, Regina and Sara. The wonderful conversation. All right.
Muchas gracias, Sergi.
Gracias, Sergi.
Buena tarde.
Hasta luego.
Gracias. Hasta
Bye.
luego. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.